Hi everybody, tonight I will do slippers for women with both of my Sentro machine. So first I will cast on the machine by putting my yarn one in the front, one in the back. Oh, I forgot to put the mat on my table to keep my machine from moving. So I go in front and the back like this for the first row. This is the Sentro knitting machine, 48 needle. So first row is done. Put it in the yarn feeder, make sure it's very in the right place, and then I crank. You notice that I did at least 5 rows of waste yarn, and I didn't on this video, I forgot, but I write it 5 rows. So every time you put some waste yarn, you could do 5 or 10 rows of waste yarn. Doesn't matter. It's just gonna be more easy to close your tube at the end. So I'm done with the waste yarn. I just add my new project yarn. Make sure don't lose it. I almost lost a stitch right here. I went too fast. Make sure all your needle is grabbed your yarn correctly, and then you crank your machine. For this video I will use both. I put my counter to 0. I will use both Sentro that I have at home. My little girl was not here today, so I was allowed to play with it. So I used the Sentro 48 and the Sentro 22 needle. So I start with the gray color. Make sure you don't lose it. Always check your needle before you crank, so that way it prevent drop stitch. So with the gray color I start my slippers. I will share with you all the numbers, don't worry. There. Here I'm gonna do my first color change. So I did 10 rows of gray. I switched to another color. I will put some pink. I put in front the white needle, and then I crank. Usually I attach both of my tail of yarn, but I forgot. Sorry. But you at home, do it. And with the pink, I will do 5 rows. And I'm done with the 5 rows. I cut my yarn. Make sure I put the yellow in front of my white needle. Make sure it's grabbed. So I was supposed to attach it like right there, and I forgot again. Bad me. Okay, so I continue for 5 rows of yellow. Cut the yarn, put the yarn in the middle, bring back my pink yarn, put it in front the white needle, and attach the yarn, and again I forgot. So I will turn the crank like this till I get another 5 of pink. Don't worry if you don't get it, because I'm gonna put all the numbers soon on the screen, so you will be able to take your notebook and note it inside of it for next time. So I come back with the gray again. Put that in front of the white needle. Make sure your yarn is right place. Always make sure with your Sentro it doesn't have a little door to keep the yarn from slip from the yarn feeder, so make sure you always keep an eye on it, so that way you don't lose any stitch. Attach all the color, not the waste yarn, no, because we have to remove it at the end. So I will continue with the gray till I get, oh, was stuck. I have to push down the yarn. Sometimes it's happening when your crank doesn't move. It's mean some yarn is stuck between a needle. So always check that. You could stop it, put it on pause and take note, or continue to listen the video, watch the video and write it later. So I continue with gray, so that's why I put the numbers in front, because I didn't do any change. I just put the gray color. Continue like this. We'll put it faster till I get on my counter 55 rows. So if you decide to do without the color change, just do 55 rows. So now it's time to cast off with some waste yarn. What it's gonna do is you do like 5 or 10 rows of waste yarn, and you will cut it. And when it doesn't have any yarn to go in the yarn feeder, the machine will release the project like this. It's magic. So time to stretch our work and bring our 22 needle little Sentro. Cast on with waste yarn for 5 rows at least. Very important, don't go with thick yarn. Keep in mind it's a toy, it's not like a iron machine, so be careful and you will have this little machine for a long time. Always use, I put my project yarn. I did a color change, and this little thing didn't have any counter, so it's okay. Just prepare yourself some little piece of yarn if you don't have any markers, and each 10 rows I will put a little marker like this. So I prepare 5 because I need 5 to go for 50, and I will add 5 rows at the end to do the 55. So I did my first 10 rows. We'll continue. There, another one. Continue. And always take note in the notebook. Keep your notebook close to your craft area and you will be happy. So I did 5 markers of yarn. I keep going. And I lost a little piece of the video, so I will show you with another piece of video that I borrowed from another project, just to make sure that you're following me correctly. So it's time to put the waste yarn soon. I will do 5 rows of gray, and time for the waste yarn. So I put the waste yarn. This is the little video I have to put because I didn't have the last part, so I put the waste yarn. When you don't have any more yarn to come, the machine releases the project. So it's the same for every knitting machine. So I prepare my tube. I already closed one side, and I will show you how to do it on the other side. So all the tube will have to be closed like this. So you understand that you need 2 Sentro 22 tube of 55 rows and 2 Sentro 48 needle of 55 rows. to do a pair of slippers. So now it's time to close my tube. The closing is sometimes hard for people that is not very comfortable with the crochet hook, but if you like to do like with a needle, it's possible too. If you go on my YouTube channel and you check 5 different rows of closing in a tube, you will find the solution on the number 3. The third one show how to close it with just a wool needle, so it won't keep you from making nice project. It will give you a chance to enjoy the machine until you get the time to learn some crochet, some hook. So it's time to close. I grab all the stitches, so I close it like this by closing with the tail. Remove the waste yarn. Always on one side it's easier than the other side. Usually it's the closing, not the closing, but the start on the machine is harder to remove than the finish part of the tube. So time to remove my little markers. Very easy, you see. There. Oh, it's stuck. And the last one. So my tube is closed, so I do the same thing for the 3 other tube. And I was doing this video like I was testing it if it worked, so now I will take note, writing the name of my project, the date, and if I did a video on it. So I will keep that for later. When I start my channel, I didn't do that, so when people ask for numbers of row, can't help. But it's always better to go check by yourself on the video, because me, I could do mistake. I don't remember the name of stitch, so I won't remember the number of rows for sure. So after that, I will go back to my slippers. So I need 55 to do that. Time to attach those, not attach, to hide those tail of yarn in the project. Got it? Do that with all. And you notice that you have 2 different feet, so you're gonna do a left and a right. So if you decide to put the small tube on the left, so you have to put the other slippers on the right to make sure that you have different slippers for both sides. And when you will sewing it together to do like the slipper shape, you will have to make sure that you don't do both the same side like I did for my green slippers like two years ago. When I first did this pattern was for smaller feet, and this one is for taller feet, so hope more people will enjoy this one. So I do the invisible sewing right now by getting in the middle of the stitch, grab 2 bar on one side and 2 bar on the other side. Don't worry if I don't pull on my yarn right now. I will do the magic trick after. When you pull on your yarn, you will have a perfect invisible seam. So I just continue like this. Till I get to the other end. So both slippers will be sewed together like this. If you want, you could sew like the bottom of the slippers too, like this. If you want to do like very nice job and have an invisible seam all the way, that's the best stitch to do. Not the stitch, but a good seam to do. Oh my god, sometimes I have hard time to get the right word. Sorry for that. So I continue like this. Continue. Almost at the end. Hope the little music doesn't bother you. I need that tonight. I was like very hyper and anxious, so and tired, so I decided to put some relaxing music for me. But hope it's okay with you. If you don't like it, just lower the volume. Yeah, anyways, I put all the numbers on the screen, so even if you don't listen to me, it's okay. I understand that. Well, sorry, I was not in the right place to be seen by the camera. Just notice it right now. Sorry. You see, I pull on the yarn by keeping the other end with my finger. Don't lose the yarn. So it makes a very nice seam. There. Almost finished. Hope you have a great day today. There. Time to close. Stretch it before I do my knot, so that way it won't be too tight. So I do a little loop and I pass through my needle in the middle, and I will hide the tail in the double layer. So you see the little color I made a little design. It's funny because on the camera it's looked like red and actually it was pink. I just noticed that right now. There, hiding it. And you notice that with the large tube and the small tube, you have a perfect square. So you fold your square to make like a triangle. So you got it from a corner to other corner. So it's time to sew it. Like I said earlier, if you want to have a nice finishing look, you could do like a invisible seam right now on the bottom. But me, I didn't do it. I was kind of in a hurry to finish the video before my little girl came back to the house. She was outside playing with kids today. There. I put it in fast. But you do the way you're comfortable to for the sewing. It's your project. Me, I'm just showing an option, a pattern. There. Almost finished. Very important when you get to the end. Make sure that you don't end up with a hole. So with your finger and thumbs, make sure you keep it together and hide it in the gray, so that way it doesn't show in the pale color. So it's time for the heels now, and I will do sewing on 11 rows. There. Almost finished. So we'll do a knot here with the loop, and a second one to secure it. When it's done, hide it in the double layer, all your little tail that you still have showing. So hide it in the ears there. Turn the other side, but if you do like a seam with invisible, you don't have to turn it. It'll be fine. So that's it. That's the little slippers. Not the little, it's extra large slippers. Hope you enjoy it. Don't forget to subscribe, and see you next week.